Well, sometimes in your life, you just need the bubbles. What bubbles?
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Beer Bubbles, the number one bubbleless podcast in the world.
It is.
It is.
According to us.
According to us, yeah. That's the only thing that counts. Hi, Cici.
Hi. We got a guest today.
Yes, we do. Mr. Andrew.
G'day.
From Nynäshamns.
Happy to be here.
Yeah.
How you all going?
That was the weirdest start ever.
Yeah.
Hi, Andrew. Nice to have you in the podcast.
Again.
Yeah.
It's not the first
It's been a
time.
little
Yeah.
while. I
Yeah.
think I was one of the first. It
Yeah.
was an early one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When I went out to Nina's and he couldn't come.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So now it's my turn to visit.
And
Yeah.
then you,
Yeah.
Nice.
Like
Welcome to
small
Akkurat.
visits as
Welcome
well.
to...
And
at festivals, we've had
we had
grabbed you
a
as well,
chat
I
at
think.
sometimes.
Brewskival.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you're a pro then. You've been here.
I've been everywhere.
Yeah.
I've been everywhere, man.
The reason you're here today is, well, there's a few reasons, but mainly you've done a beer that does not exist.
Well, it doesn't really anymore.
No?
Like it's been a bit lost in history. So yeah, but there's a Dutch beer that we've made together with a Dutch brewery. But it sort of has it was huge in like the 15th century, and then just got forgotten by history. So yeah, I don't even know where to start with the history of it. But I guess the way my journey through the beer, if you like, was that when I was still living in Australia, there was a chance that we were going to move to the Netherlands, and I went and spoke to my brewing lecturer, and I said, "Do you know anything about Dutch beer?" And he was a bit of a mad scientist, always reading the Brewers Association style guidelines, and that's how he would teach us to brew, like very true to style. Sort of meant that I was a really good fit for Nynäs when I got started there. And he said, "Yeah, there's a Dutch beer in the BI style guidelines. Like, here you go and brew that." And about 2 weeks later, he sent me a little passage that was in Old Dutch that he'd found. He'd come across somehow. And this is going back to like 2014. So Google was like really limited, and there was no Google Translate. So we kind of worked out though that the recipe was in there. It was how many bags of each malt was going in there. And then the rest we worked out from the style guidelines. And then we got like what we thought was a geographically correct hop. We used Aramis then, which is like SARS that's grown in France, the north of France. So we thought that was pretty good. We couldn't find a water profile for the Netherlands, so we mashed in with German and we sparged with Belgian. So we thought that was
It's almost there. Should we open the beer and pour
we
it?
should definitely.
Rasmus,
I can open, you can talk.
All right. Okay, yeah, do that. So there's three different Keuyts. The main thing with this is that it's one of the most early hopped beers. So they were being brewed out of the two then capital cities of the Netherlands, which was Haarlem and Gouda, or Gouda.
Gouda.
Yeah, they have a real if you do the G's in Dutch. So this was before Amsterdam existed. So these were the two main ports. It was only later with tall ships they needed a deeper harbour, so they went in and around the back. And then Amsterdam got built. So before that, the trading ports were Gouda coming off the river to the south, and then out to the sea was Haarlem. And then there was three Keuyts originally. One of them was still a Groot. So I don't know if the listeners know what Groot is.
I'll tell him.
Groot was such a long story. This Groot was what we used before hops, and it was basically like a mixture of herbs and spices and roots and things like that was used to
What's the bitter agent for the beer? Basically?
Yeah, it wasn't a good taste if you've had one. Like it wasn't like you could imagine drinking your first hopped beer after that. We should try this because imagine after drinking only Groot beer. Then trying this. So this was one of the early ones.
They're really light and refreshing. I like that one.
Yeah. Really interesting malt bill, and I'll get to that. But the northern German brewers were starting to use hops, and that story had gotten down to Haarlem and Gouda, and they started brewing with hops and then selling it on to Belgium. And there was even old text in Belgium that was like to be brewed the Haarlem way. And they weren't talking about just the city. They were talking about brewed with hops instead of Groot. And then, interestingly enough, to England. So it was making it across the sea, across the strait, and they were selling it to England. This also brought the word beer into the English language, right?
It's so cool because, like, when you think about like beer history in Europe, you think about Europe, England, you think about Belgium, you think about Germany.
Yeah.
But you're saying the Dutch were actually the ones who taught the Belgians and the English to brew with hops.
Yeah. So
That's awesome.
England was calling it ale because they weren't using anything.
Okay, yeah.
And then they were talking about it being a beer if it was with hops.
Oh, that's cool.
So this is the understanding that I got. But then even some Dutch brewers moved to England, and they were setting up their own breweries. And then the industrial age happened, and everything got scaled up. Then the Dutch brewers in England were selling back to the Netherlands, and they outcompeted all the small ones. And there was another reason why as well. They kind of failed, but they lost all their market share because of that.
So the Keuyt disappeared.
Yeah, there was a part of it because in the Gouda, where this Keuyt is from, this is a Gouda Keuyt, or Gouda Keuyt, if you pronounce it like the locals. It took us the whole week down there to work out how to say that right. Yeah. There's some interesting numbers about how much beer they produced out of Gouda. It was, in that time, in the 15th century, 10,000 people, 200 breweries, and they were brewing 50 million litres of beer. But there was a limit, like almost every second house was a brewery.
Okay.
And there was a limit on how much they could brew. And that's where they fell over when the industrial age happened, because then it got shipped in. But there was a local, because they had a beer purity law that predated the Bamberg 1516.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. So they had their own purity law before that. And in that was the recipe as well. And the recipe was... really interesting. They were using what they had at the time. The interesting thing about this is 50% oat malt, not barley that we're used to. So it gives it that real silkiness that we taste. And then if you get a few mouthfuls into it, it also has, from the husk that's in it, it brings a sourness right at the back there.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
And that's because we don't do sour at Nynäs. That's actually from having 50% oat. So it's crazy to have a beer that's 50% oat these days. And then the rest is made up by rye, which kind of gives it a dry, and then it's got a bit of wheat in it, which makes it light and fluffy. And then there is also a little bit of pale, but it's the smallest amount. The pale.
That is quite cool. I really like that.
Yeah, I did too. It's a good beer to drink when it's warm outside.
Gouda Keuyt. Gouda Keuyt.
Gouda Keuyt.
Gouda Keuyt.
Yeah.
Gouda Keuyt.
I wasn't even close.
Fun facts on those numbers with the beers out of Gouda. They were brewing that 50 million litres, 10,000 people. That's the same volume per capita as Bamberg brews today, with all the technology they have.
Holy crap.
Jesus.
So, then they just, the industrial age happened. Beer was being brought in from other places. It's hard to transport things around in Netherlands at this time in history because they're still reclaiming a lot of that land.
Oh, yeah.
It was too hard. And limits on the volumes that they could brew. So, we got left with Amstel and Heineken.
Oh, yeah. But this is cool because I saw the first Gose when they came back about 15 years ago. And that hit like a freight train.
Oh,
and this is good.
Yeah.
Really nice.
Very, very sessionable. Everybody that had it in Australia was like, it's a 5.8. It's a very sneaky 5.8. It tastes less than that.
That was like a 4.5 or something.
Yeah.
4.8, yeah.
It sneaks up on you. Not like a crazy beer does, but like it's a few of them in. Yeah, you'll notice it. Yeah,
5, 6 in, you'll notice something.
But that was, I'm impressed.
Yeah.
Really.
Yeah, and like it's sad that a beer this good got forgotten.
Yeah, well, we'll have to bring it back.
Yeah,
Yeah,
cool.
well, we have.
Yeah,
So
we brought it back now. You brought it back.
Yeah, we did bring it back. So then the backstory behind how we got together, Joppen and us. Joppen, so you know, is they're kind of like Nynäs to the Dutch market. They were one of the pioneers of the craft market there. And I ran into Michelle, who's one of the founders at Hop Harvest last year.
Okay. Yep.
And we were maybe a couple of nights in or something like that. And I said, do you know about Keuyt beer? And he's like, I'm from the home of Keuyt. And I told him my Australian story. And he was like, I'm not even asking. You have to come and brew your recipe, my brew house. And we went there, and they have this amazing old church in the middle of Haarlem, very historical old building, all the stained glass and everything. And then the brew house, their on-site pretty-looking copper one. Then they have an offside one. They're a much bigger brewery than us.
Yeah, they have a production brewery and
and we went there, and it was a great old time. We managed to break the brew house. We clogged it up with too many oats, so that was good. I was down in there digging out oats in the brew house to get the next batch of malt to come in on top and mash to come in on top, and the pump underneath just. We had the opposite problem of normally with too many oats. It was that we used oat malt as well as oats, so they still had the husk.
Yeah.
And rice hulls, and it was too much drainage. So the water fell through and the grain stayed up and the pump couldn't get it out, so we were digging it out.
Oh, well. But how much did you make of it?
I think we did about 4,000 litres in the end. That's to share between them and us. We didn't do a release big enough here in Sweden to do with the Bolaget. We thought it might not be something people pick off the shelf if they don't know the history behind it, but it is available for all the restaurants, and it's on keg and bottles. And if it's, we'll do a review on it when the time's over, but if we think it's...
again if it's...
Yeah, absolutely. I know that they're keen to do it again.
Yeah.
Maybe on their big brew house that can deal with oats a bit better.
Oh, yeah.
Probably.
And then we would think to do like a release on the Bolaget if it's popular enough. So we have to measure the market. But everyone,
I would
really
buy a few.
Yeah,
Definitely. But release it in spring because that's like spring summer beer.
Yeah, we released it in July.
Okay,
so it's a couple of months old now, but it's still holding up really well.
yeah.
It's not too hoppy. It's not oxidized or anything. So
Beautiful beer.
Very sweet.
it is.
Should we try some more beers?
Yeah, we can do that for sure.
Because it's always nice. You come here, and it's always nice to speak to the ones making the beer as well. Most interviews we do with people from Nynäs end up being Fredrik or Marcus, who are more on the sales side.
Yeah, the sales and marketing.
Yeah.
It does all the artwork's pretty impressive.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And the names.
And the names.
We have... Yeah, you know the story with the names, right?
You can tell everyone about the names with the Nynäs beers.
Except for this, but this was not with us. But if it makes it to bottle, then we have to find a place in Nynäs that has the name, and there's a bit of onomatopoeia with the name of the beer, the style. So Roxon Red Ale is what we're going to have now. Burtit Barley Wine, they're all spots in Nynäs. But with I keep giving Marcus a hard time because I keep finding beer styles that don't have names. Like there's no word in Swedish that even starts with a double V.
No, W. No.
So and there's certainly no place in Nynäshamn starting with a Q for the quadruple.
So it became a quadruple with a K.
With a KV. Kvarnstrand and quadruple.
Okay, yeah.
So, yeah, we've
got to be creative sometimes.
Yeah.
But Roxon Red Ale, this is one of my favorite beer styles, actually.
Yeah.
Like a modern red ale.
Yeah. I had a thing where in the brewery I think I'd been mentioning red ale, India red ale for a while, and I think everyone pictured when I said red, the moment they said red, they would talk about, they'd think I was talking about a Kilkenny, like an Irish red, creamy and smooth and... like no,
you're
like
talking
it
more
should
like
be
Red
crisp
Seal or
yeah, exactly. And Australia's got a few good ones as well. Up in the Adelaide Hills, there's one called Prancing Pony.
It's got a herby note to it.
Yeah.
What is that? Is that just the malt and the yeast? Or?
Yeah, I think it's really interesting. Like these are hops that go into a lot of IPAs and come out with citrusy notes. But there's a couple of ones, so it's like Mosaic and Mandarina Bavaria, and I'm forgetting one, but. And when you put them against the darker or the red malt, then it starts to lean those flavors towards. I don't really get the herbal; I get more like the dark fruits.
Okay, yeah.
That you don't get. Yeah, so it's actually Mosaic's in there as well.
Okay,
and you wouldn't think Mosaic with berries and dark fruits, but
no.
Off this darker malt, then it really how things interact is really interesting.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, so 7%, crisp. It's
Also
a good
dangerous
winter
7%.
IPA. Yeah, or India Red Ale.
But it's also dangerous 7% on this one because it's very smooth to drink.
Super
while you
smooth.
have that bitterness coming through as well.
Yeah, the alcohol, it's warm, but it hides behind the malt.
Yeah.
With an IPA, they can be light, and you can really taste the 7%. Our Stenstrand, for example, is a very, very similar in a lot of ways recipe to this.
Yeah, that's a killer.
Yeah, same strength, but this doesn't taste as strong.
No, but Stenstrand doesn't taste strong either. Not when you have it cask ale anyhow.
Yeah.
Then you can
No.
it's so smooth.
Especially
This-
in the summer.
This on cask, this is, because I'm Australian and we don't really have many cask breweries over there. I think maybe there's a few now, but there wasn't when I left. That's like, I've been here 8 years now. And this beer was something, like I've been trying cask here and it didn't really click with me. I just like, why? It's flat. It's flat and it's warm. What are you doing? And then I had this actually at Oliver Twist when we did this the first time on cask, and I was like, oh, that's what
Now
you're
I get it. Now
Now
I
I
get it.
understand. So it's then it did actually bring out a creamy effect to this, but then you had the hops on top of that.
Oh yeah.
And that was a real moment for me. That was my cask moment.
Cask moments. All right. Having your own beer.
Yeah,
Oh,
not biased at all.
We've all had our cask moments.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Mine
I've
was with Alton's Pride from Triple FFF, I think. How did you end up drinking cask? Well,
I started working.
probably
here.
my fault.
but I think I've been open to. I've had a few moments since,
Oh yeah.
but it took me a few years to get into it at all. So now I'm much more open to it.
I think Ruby Mile is one of my.
And you've actually been in the brewery doing cask ale not so long ago now.
Yep.
For the first time.
Oh, it's your first time?
Yeah. Oh well, Lassie normally does it, but he wasn't around last week. So I got bestowed the great honour of filling the cask because we had Christmas release this Friday
Okay.
for the Meesing and the Christmas beer.
Yeah.
So yeah, I actually for the first time ever.
I should have heard his comment on the way down here to the basement. It was, whatever they charge for this beer, it's not enough.
Yeah, cleaning like if we do a normal keg, our keg filling machine cleans and washes, and we just move one keg along, and we have a fresh keg, amazing quality control on it, station by station, and we're popping out a new one every 2 minutes when we're doing the filling. And the cask, it was 12 cask. I started washing cask at 6 in the morning, and I think I was done at 3 in the afternoon for 12 casks. I was doing other stuff in between, but
No. I know, I've been there. I did that with Chris at Carnegie Brewery.
Yep.
We have something special back there in the cask room, though. We still have a Musingen on the cask from last year.
Oh yeah.
Oh.
We've actually saved the Musican from last year.
I tasted this year against last year, and it's nice and round. So that'll be. You'll tell me when that's open, right?
Oh yeah, of course.
Definitely. Aging on cask is quite interesting because we had, was it Musingen we had as well? That was 2 years old.
I can't remember.
It was one of your stouts on cask we had was 2 years old.
Yeah.
It's just mental.
Yeah. It could be amazing or it could be terrible.
It was amazing.
Oh, yeah.
But during those 5 days, it was completely different beers.
Oh, yeah.
Because on the first day,
with the breathing.
creamy chocolate, like was so full. On the 5th day was just nice bitter coffiness and like all the sweetness and thickness has gone away. It's just changed. The beer was still good, but it just changed completely in aromas and.
So it's
flavor.
like having 5 different casks.
I know what you're playing at, but I can't get to Akarat 5 days in a row.
Of course you can. We'll put up a bed down here so you don't have to go back to Nina's. Should we try
Let's keep going.
one of my favorite beers? Well, the next two are two of my absolute favorites from your brewery.
You haven't. I don't know if you've tried this one though before.
Which one is this?
This is the Barley Wines Straight Oak.
Okay.
This was never This was one that broke the system because normally every year with Bought It we do the standard before Christmas, and then a bit into the new year we've taken off a portion of that and we put it in barrels and we've aged it, and we try and choose a different barrel every year.
Yep.
When we're doing that, they're in the barrel for it could be a month if it's a spirit, might be 3 months. We do just come along and taste them to see how they are and take them out based on flavour profile. But this one year there was a surplus. The Systembolaget just, who knows how they choose their volumes and all the rest of it, but it was much lower than we were expecting.
Okay.
And we had a surplus volume, and rather than package it and waste the packaging as well, the instruction was to tip it out
Okay.
1,000 liters, and
That's expensive for
well,
this
it's
kind of beer.
it's expensive, but it's more expensive if you've got to throw out the bottles and the packaging and the tax and all the
Oh,
rest
yeah,
of
yeah,
that
yeah.
crap as well. So yeah, I didn't do that.
No.
We had some barrels that we'd used a few years before, and that I'd looked after really well and kept them wet and everything and stable inside, and then washed them, steamed them, put them in there. I don't know if I've told you this before, but I made wine before I made beer.
Oh, yeah, I know.
So I wanted to have a beer that the wood did the oak did the talking to the beer instead of the spirit that was in it before, because most of our barley wine, they're just picking up the last year was Armagnac, and we try and do a sweet and a spirit one every second year and mix it up, and we're running out of flavors now, but we're going to try and keep pushing it to see how many different ones we can do. But this one was this one sat in barrel and it got forgotten about, to the point that Lasse came up and said, when he was doing his inventering, stock take, he's like, and when he said it, I could see that he was trying to say somebody's not done the paperwork the right way.
Okay.
He's like, do you know where there's 1,000 litres of barley wine hiding? And I'm like, yep.
Because I hid it.
So in the cellar, right down the back, there was 2 big 500-litre barrels of it. And nearly 2 years it sat in there. And
it does have loads of wine qualities. It does have that...
it's picked up tannins. It has this amazing aroma on the top of it and screams with like a lot of vanilla to me. And there's a lot of floral things going on there. And you can taste just oak as well. It's okay to say, I can taste oak.
Yeah, I can definitely taste the oak.
Yeah.
But it's pleasant. It's not...
It's not the dry, like, harsh oak.
No, exactly.
And interesting, we did it against a tasting a couple of weeks ago, side by side with the Armagnac that we did. And the Armagnac was lovely. But this just outshone it, even though the Armagnac was much stronger, and it just couldn't compete on the aroma.
No.
You could taste it, and it just tasted hot. Compared to this one, it was still lovely, but this was just it was a sniffer, as I call them.
Oh, yeah.
It's a good wine or a good beer if you sit there and sniff it more than you drink it. So we could be down here for a while.
Better cancel the plans. But am I correct? The next beer we're going to try, you haven't done for a few years, right?
Mm-hmm. We have not. It ages really well, so we didn't need to. We could just have it for a while.
Because it's a new bottle, it's a bigger bottle, and it's a new label.
Yep, and it's also a newer recipe. And it's a smidge stronger. Yeah. Hopefully I haven't ruined one of your favourite beers there, CC. I don't think we have.
It's totally different. It's almost like mentally on the note, on the nose.
For those of you listening, we're trying Sotholmen Stout Extra.
Yeah, and the last one was about that straight
oak.
Straight oak.
Straight oak.
Yeah. So the straight oak, I should mention too, that's only on the restaurants. We never did the Balager. Yeah, that really annoyed the beer tickers. They couldn't get their hands on it, so
they had to pay a premium to drink it.
Yeah, sadly they had to find a restaurant carrying it, and
you know what, they need it sometimes just to.
Yeah, they can't have everything.
Go out of their home and actually go to a bar and drink.
Back to the stout. So we had a lot of fans of the Sotholmen Extra Stout, but it wasn't pulling the numbers. It's the same thing with a lot of beers that they have a cult following, but it's not numbers to sustain a beer. And maybe the market changes a little bit. And we used to do it in a 25 centiliter, and maybe that wasn't enough. People wanted a good glass of it. And we saw that a lot of them were going a bit stronger with their... We didn't want to do Imperial. We've done that, but I think that's almost like a competition that goes too far.
What's the difference between an Extra Stout and an Imperial Stout?
I
mean, this is more the classic Imperial Stout. Sorry. Like when the English, when they were about 8.5, 8.7%.
Yeah, this is 8. And I think Extra Stout, I know Australia's got a few breweries, very old breweries, that do an Extra Stout.
Cooper's do an Extra Stout.
Yeah, and there's one down the road from that does an even better one, Old Southwark Stout. I got 2 bottles of that at home. I think it's a more traditional style. I think Imperial, maybe it came along with the craft thing, just pushing things a bit further.
Well, it was taking up an old beer style that was made in London for the Russian cork, basically. And that's supposed to be sweeter as well.
Yeah.
To me, an extra stout is drier, and that comes from drinking Guinness Extra Stout, which was it's actually still, I think, one of the most sold beers in Africa, because the biggest Guinness brewery, as far as I know, is actually located. I think it is in Nigeria, and the biggest product they produce is the Guinness Extra Stout.
The extra stout, not the regular,
No.
the 4%. Yeah.
I might be wrong.
Is that a?
But I've heard that's what I've heard anyhow.
Guinness Extra, is that like a nitro one as well?
No,
like,
that's
it's just a regular one.
bottled, normal, commonized.
Yeah.
I think it's 8.5% or something, or if it's 7.8 or something.
Somewhere around
Yep.
that. Yeah.
Great to age. Yeah.
A beautiful beer, really dry, just like this one.
Yeah. This is a bit sweeter than the last recipe, and it's a little bit stronger. We kind of saw the market going there. But 8%. There's definitely a little bit more chocolate and coffee to it as well.
Still very nice.
Yeah.
I sold one of the old ones the other day. We still have one more regular bottle list. And the guy's like, excuse me. Did you mean to give him an old one? I'm like, yes, I did.
Be happy.
I didn't have to pay like the vintage list price. And I go, it's awesome. Super happy. It's like one of his favorite beers. I'm like, no. They don't brew it that often, so it's we have the old one here, yeah.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
That'll be interesting to try. I spotted just behind you like the very old small pundit with the string
2007.
tag around
Yeah.
it.
2007.
Oh, this is my first time down in your cellar as well.
Yeah, welcome.
Yeah. I was spotting quite a few of this.
Oh, you haven't been down here
Our
before?
triple as well, and a few. There's a few of ours.
You have a Hafsuden over there.
Oh, yeah.
Then we have a small keg of Armagnac. Also, we're aging.
Oh, right.
So
Nice.
we didn't want to do that yet, so we're going to wait a few years, see what happens.
Yeah. That wee heavy's done now. That's the last you'll get of it. Yeah.
You're not going to make it
We
again?
saved one.
Oh, well, it's a 5-year. Yeah, that was that was a 2-year project to make.
Oh, yeah, I know.
Yeah, so that was for our last year. That was our 25 years jubileum anniversary. So we brewed that 2 years before, leading up to it. The plan was that it was going to go in barrels like this barley wine had, and then we filtered it ready to go in, and we were like, does it need it? No, didn't need it. So it aged again.
I think I had it up on a Sunday, a small keg of Hafsuden that I did with cheese in the bar.
Yeah.
So I'd had like a little cheese plate that I put together in the bar.
I saw you post that.
And I
the
sold
keg.
tasters of the Hafsuden. That was really good. Should we try the last one as well?
Yes.
The big boy.
Here we come to. And why do brewers always put the strong stuff in the big bottles?
Because we hadn't done it before.
Okay, cool.
So alcoholics
Well,
like me
the
can enjoy it by
triple-
myself.
Yeah, but it was the Belgian thing.
Oh,
We
yeah.
thought it was a very
well,
Belgian
yeah.
bottle. And it should be a share bottle, I think, with something like this. Yeah, it's a bigger cap than normal as well.
Noticed.
So it's a quadruple
Yep.
Belgian cloister style of fest beer,
Yeah.
basically. What they did for
It wasn't Belgian.
It's a cloister
was-
beer anyhow.
Yeah, but it was the Dutch that did it first, and for a long time the Belgians were calling it a dark brown ale.
Okay.
Strong brown ale.
Okay,
They didn't want to move across and call it a quadruple because they did double and they did triple, and then it was which is the Trappist just across the border in the Netherlands. La Trappe. They did it, and yeah, so they did the first quadruple.
One of the original Trappists.
Mm-hmm.
Cheers.
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 This one's holding up really well. This I think was 2020 or 2021.
2020.
2020. Yeah, we did 5 years on the date. So, and this is one of the few ones that we did bottle conditioned because we wanted the extra bubbles that like it
It's a
should
really
be.
nice fissiness to it, like a creamy fissiness.
Yep.
fissiness.
Yeah, it should be. They have a really different way of thinking about carbonation in Belgium.
Yeah.
You need that. We talk about doing ales at 4.5 grams serving finished product and of CO2 per litre.
Yeah.
Just so.
Yeah.
And maybe lagers up to 5, maybe a little bit higher. But then when you go to Belgium, they talk about doing a 1 gram per litre per alcohol unit.
Okay, yeah.
So in theory, if I did it maybe the Belgian way, it was like 11 grams.
Okay, yeah.
So I think we did a couple of test bottles and we settled on like 8 or something.
Yeah.
I think it worked out really well.
development on the bottle as well. So
Yeah.
as soon as you open it, the yeast actually starts living again because it gets oxygen.
Yeah,
doesn't it?
and it's because the yeast will scavenge all the oxygen, so it can mature much better in the bottle as well. There's good technology with caps that have scavenging qualities in the caps.
Okay,
the little seal under there, but they only do so much when you've got a strong beer like that, and that makes a difference if the yeast can scavenge the rest. So normally our beers are bright filtered, and we do a Keller beer here and there and some things like that. But this is bottle condition, unfiltered. The
I
Belgian
can see
way.
this lasting for a couple of years as well. I mean,
Yeah, it's good for another few at least.
Oh, yeah.
I would have thought it'd start to oxidize a little bit by now, but it's holding out really
Still
well.
fresh.
Yeah.
Doesn't have that like port wine sourness that you get for some of them, and some even go over to like soy sauce and
Yeah.
yeah.
Soy sauce is super common. But
this is really nice, really fresh.
barley wines like to go to soy sauce.
Oh yeah, and imperial stouts.
Yeah, for sure. They come vanilla, and then comes the soy
Oh
sauce.
yeah.
was it 2020 you brewed this one?
Yep. We did the triple the year before. Was another thing. There was a bit of a perception that Swedes don't like Belgian beers. But we did the triple and everyone liked it. So this together with a double. We did it at the same time. But the double was, it's I think it's past its good now. It was only like 7% or 6%, and it's gone already.
Still works.
The triple still works?
Yeah,
Good to know. I'm glad you've got some. I don't.
I did it for my first beer and dinner I had here. I did Tierney triple for one of the
And
dishes.
we actually had it for the 6th of June, Swedish
we did,
National Day.
yeah.
We brought up some bottles.
right?
Yes, we had it on tap.
Yeah, on tap.
We
We
had
had
a
a
keg left, and that was really good.
Oh. What do you do for food pairing with Belgian strong beers?
Well, Belgian strong beers love cheese.
I would argue, because of their sweetness, they need Asian food,
Okay.
chili and lime. And
I could see
the
that.
lime cuts through the sweet, and then the extra carbonation, because I'm a chili nut, makes it worse.
Makes it worse.
Yeah, or better.
Oh,
sorry,
yeah.
better's the word.
Sorry.
Yeah. It carries it. Sorry,
Yeah.
it carries the heat and So you should have, if you want to calm it, you need like flat juice or
Well, that's
milk
why
or
you
something.
don't drink carbonized water with like really hot chilies.
Yeah, exactly. So,
'Cause-
but this carries it, and then it carries it on top of the sugar as well, and like real Mexican tacos, not Taco Tuesday tacos, or like
Not the Swedish tacos.
it's not the Swedish tacos.
I still argue for cheese because this with our mussels with Roquefort and bacon
Oh yeah.
would be absolutely fantastic. I
Yeah,
think.
yeah, blue cheese for sure, because that's cutting through the sweet
yeah,
again.
yeah.
Yeah, mussels definitely, especially the cheese one.
The-
Even the regular one as well works.
But the one with Roquefort cheese and bacon, so you get this salty, smoky hit together with like the sharpness from the blue cheese, together with this like sweet, mellow. I think that's gonna would be beautiful.
It's a
But
really
that's
nice
just me,
quadruple.
and that's the thing about beer and taste. Everyone's got their own.
Yeah.
Most subjective thing we own. Actually.
Yeah, it's like when we do even just like Feldsmack, problems with beer tasting, like sensory, anything like that. You have to understand that everybody's palate is different.
Yeah.
People's thresholds and how they can taste. Like if we've got faults in beer, like D'Estel or sour. I've got a problem with sour beers. I can taste around sour. If it's a little bit sour, it's sour. So it needs to be just a tiny bit tart, and then I can appreciate like a good Cantillon or something. But if it's sour, I struggle to taste the fruit around.
You prefer like the Rodenbach styles to the
Yeah,
the lambics.
yeah, like a little bit Brett or something like that. That's okay. But yeah, I can't do like the sours. It's just sour to me. That's my palate. But then it's very handy in the brewery if we need to see if something's going sour. Because I'll pick it up before anybody
It's like
else.
they send me when they think something might be diacetyled. Because
I'm also very sensitive to that,
really
yeah.
sensitive for
Same here.
diacetyl. And DMS.
Yeah, more diacetyl for me. Can't
Yeah,
even fucking
I'm okay
drink
with
the beer.
Diacetyl, but DMS is not on my radar.
Sweet corn. Lovely.
It's got to be really bad.
Canned sweet corn. Not just
sweet
corn.
canned
Canned
sweet
sweet corn.
If it smells like taco night, it's not the right beer. No, it's not correct.
It's back to tacos again.
Well, bring that back around.
Taco Tuesday's got a lot to answer for.
So, but Andrew, Nynäshamns Ångbryggeri, you've been around for 26 years now.
Yep, 26 now.
This
Yes.
summer was the 26th anniversary.
Yes.
I went to the 25th. Look at this beautiful shirt. That's from last summer.
215, no?
Yeah. I thought that too, actually. It's a bottle in the middle.
I remember 1997, I worked at Beefeater Inn on Götgatan, and Thomas came in with 2 bottles of beer, 2 bottles of Landsort Lager. At the time, I actually imported some British beers myself for the pub. And Swedish beer was, well, there was, before that, there was like 9 breweries. 95, there was 9 breweries in Sweden, owned by 5 companies, and they all made the same beer. So Swedish beer, to me, was shit.
Yeah, there was us and maybe Optigords and maybe
no,
one other.
Wasn't there yet.
No, not yet.
Not 95.
Came around back.
But
Not 95. No, at 97, though, I know there was like maybe one around the same time or 2 around the same time.
Nynäshamns Oscar and Jämtlands
Maybe then.
were around that time as well. But anyhow, Thomas comes in, leaves those bottles, and I'm like, oh, so this is going to be shit. And then I sat down, everyone left, I cleaned down the bar, and I opened a bottle of bitter and poured it, and drank it, and then I drank the other one as well. And then I called Thomas the next morning and ordered. And on my delivery note, I had customer number 3.
1 and 2 were definitely in Nynäshamn, I guess.
Probably, yeah.
But they were pitching that beer, and I remember the story about going to like a beer festival back then or something, and some people like tasting it and spitting it out and saying, "This isn't beer; it's got too much flavour."
Oh yeah, that's weird. But what's the future for Nynäshamn? What are you up to now?
Right now, we are. I mean, we're always looking for that true to style thing. We've done a few beers raising some money for Österkön with Weeping Willows, but it's always been true to style beers, and it will keep doing that. I think we like to pick out these styles that are not necessarily common, though, and see if we can do some educating, because you remember that like it's the first Swedish bitter was Bierdare in Sweden. Sweden's first IPA was ours, Indian Viken.
First real pale ale was Åle, which is not in existence anymore, sadly.
Another one that was, just not doing the numbers. But we put out the Aussie Pale Ale.
Oh, yeah, your Pale Ale.
Yeah, my Pale Ale. So Sweden's first Aussie Pale Ale. And I think it was, I'm not sure on that.
Could be.
I haven't heard of another one anyway. First Aussie Pale Ale. And that's
home brew that doesn't count.
that just took off straight away. So, it kind of replaced the Orlo, sadly. Yeah, so I think we still like to do firsts, but they're getting harder to find. And, the market at the moment, we're happy to just keep doing what we're doing. Maybe we're not doing as many beers as we did last year in the Jubileum. We had like 30, I think it was end up being like 35 beers through the year. We went crazy last year. So many new beers that it was the party year. It was 25 years.
It was like, so many different ones,
So many. So, this year we've definitely tamed it down a bit, because I think our normal brands, there was only so many beer that people could drink, so we're sort of focusing a bit on our core range a little bit and being picky about our special beers at the moment. So that's us. There's nothing special hidden coming or anything.
The business has had a few, at least to me, surprising downfalls, so to speak. A couple of breweries that went belly up. Eskilstuna, Stockholm Brewing, and some breweries have really struggled, but you must have felt like the aftershock of the pandemic and the war in Ukraine.
Oh, of course. But we had some of the breweries that you're talking about too were like very focused on one side of the market, say restaurants, and then in the pandemic that was a problem. We were always very mixed in our business, so we had a good share in the Belaget as well. I mean, they're a pain in the behind to deal a lot of the time, but we still do that, and that really probably saved us as anything. But I think the other cool thing, what I love about working there, is that it's my background before Nynäs was like very high speed retail sales management as well, and you always had to have growth on growth every year. And we're down at Nynäs, and we just want to make great beer and take our holidays in summer. We just want to keep. It's not a big ship that has growing pains. It's just we make quality beer. We put our heart on our sleeve with how we make the beers, and we're not looking for the growth necessarily, growth on growth, where we find an equilibrium that has some balance. And if you've worked in a brewery that
you get a holiday You make great beers.
It's a beautiful part of the
It's
world.
that,
Why
yeah.
would we not want to have time off in summer?
It's that Helles Brauschlenkla mentality. They had the
Yeah.
same there. Like, we're exactly where we want to be. Just keep doing what we do.
Well, not quite as stubborn as the Germans, I would say. I did hop harvest last year, and it was really interesting. We were at the research centre, and one of the things that's happening with hops is that we're not going to be able to use the same hops forever
Yeah.
that we've had. Like, if you think about it, it makes perfect sense. Back when they were starting to use the 4 noble hops, and SARS being the first one, or I think it was that one, and that was like 400 years ago, 500 years ago, and of course the climate's changed in 500 years, so it's no longer a very viable option, and it was never bred in the first place. This was just the purest one that they could find.
And the thing is, hops is also a weed.
Yeah.
It will mutate if the environment changes.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, to a certain, they try and keep it pure, but they're like with Germany, they don't allow any male plants in the. It's only females.
Yeah.
And you don't have to be a brewer in the brewing industry, but if you live in the Hallertau Valley, every kid knows how to spot a male plant, and they will come and eradicate it.
Yeah.
And if you buy English hops that's full of seeds, there's male plants
Yeah.
everywhere. But we went to the research centre, and we're finding out about these new strains that they're using, including one of them is in the Keuyt beer.
Okay. Yeah.
And we're thinking about doing a pickler. Actually, that's one thing. We're thinking about doing pickler pills. We're going to try and make it a challenge to do the same beer with a New World hop, like one that's climate compatible.
Okay.
Because these hops that we're learning about, like they have thicker roots that go down and reach down into the water table as the climate warms, and they can really get the goodness out of the ground. And it's talking about getting like 3 times the yield off the same row.
Oh.
It's quite crazy numbers.
Oh, yeah.
So of course a farmer's not going to want to keep growing SARS for the rest of his
No,
life.
of course.
Where's the money at? He wants to drink beer as well.
Yeah.
So we were talking about doing a pickler that should be like a challenge to ourselves, that we're going to try and do 1 tank and make it taste like nobody can pick the difference. And maybe you guys can have 2 on tap at the same time.
yeah,
and
of course.
You can have all the beer nerds come in and go, oh, I think I can smell the difference, So
Well, I got my little satellite system, so I can do 2 taps next to each other.
No,
Yeah.
it's the same beer.
Yeah, try it.
yeah, or just put A and B on it,
Yeah.
maybe, and then maybe we can work out something like that.
So we know, but then afterwards we tell everybody.
And you can just say yes or no.
Exactly. Did anybody knows the difference?
Yeah.
No,
Yeah, Untapped is not going to tell you.
No. Andrew, we have to wrap this up.
Yep.
He's got to go meet his wife.
It's a-
Otherwise,
there's a birthday today.
he'll be in. No, it's not today. It's next
Nah,
week.
it's next
No,
week.
no.
We're grown-ups. It's schedule goes as it goes, so you have to pick the day you're off.
But he'll be in the doghouse if he can't get out of here. And
Of
I've got a
course.
beer tasting tonight, so
Yep.
I've got to take care of that. But
Pleasure having you
pleasure,
again.
man.
Oh, it was nice to come
This
in.
is awesome. We've asked you before. The final beer. You're going to die today.
I should have prepared for this.
Yeah, you should.
No,
have.
you shouldn't.
Hang on now.
And you knew as well.
Oh, I didn't think about this. I should
You're
have thought
going to
about this
die
coming
today. You can have 1 more beer, nothing else. This is your last hurrah.
in. Okay, so it's 1 more beer. It's not 1 beer for the rest of your life.
No,
to
it's
the Desert
1
Island.
more
It's
beer.
1 more beer.
And then you're...
Ooh. I'm going to be biased and pick one of ours.
Oh, it's all right.
And I'm 50-50 with the straight oak barley wine. And the Roxen would be, the red ale maybe. No, the barley wine. Okay, doing the barley wine.
You want to go with the plus,
straight,
right?
the straight oak one. I can see, because if it's the last one, like the Roxen, I will drink much faster.
Oh, yeah.
And it'll be gone.
The barley wine, you'll
The barley
sit there.
wine, I told you before, it's a sniffer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right,
Your
the-
sheet death a few
That's,
minutes longer.
What's the dark, the Black Reaper or whatever?
Yeah.
I'm going to keep him waiting for a couple. He'll be waiting for a couple of hours.
Like, come on, dude. You only got 20 centiliters left. That's all right. That's all right. I'm taking my time with this one.
Andrew, thank you very much.
Thank you for
and
having me.
take care of yourself. Take care of the brewery.
Yep. What a pleasure to be here.
Always one of our favorites, Nynäshamn. And it always will be because you produce fantastic beers.
Oh, yeah.
We'll keep doing that.
See you later on.
Yep.
And
Cheers,
take
man.
care. Bye.
Cheers. Bye.
Bye. And whatever you do.
Drink
Better beer.